You probably believe you are a pure human being. That your story begins with Homo sapiens, with modern civilization, with everything you recognize as human. But the truth is far stranger than that. Inside your body flows the genetic legacy of another human species, one that vanished from Earth tens of thousands of years ago. Around 30,000 years ago, this planet was not inhabited by Homo sapiens alone. We shared forests, plains, and frozen valleys with another kind of human known as the Neanderthals. They were stronger than us, more muscular, and in many cases, even had larger brains. Yet within just a few thousand years, they disappeared almost completely. No unmistakable evidence of massive wars, no signs of a global pandemic. It was as if they were quietly erased from the stage of history. But they were never truly gone. Scientists eventually discovered that fragments of Neanderthal DNA still exist inside most humans alive today. That means a small part of them is still here, not as fossils, but as living inheritance. To understand who they were, we need to travel back into the Ice Age. Imagine a world where vast portions of Europe were locked beneath snow and ice, where winter storms could swallow landscapes overnight, and where sunlight often struggled to break through thick, gray skies. In this unforgiving environment, Neanderthals endured for nearly 300,000 years, a time span that dwarfs the existence of Homo sapiens outside Africa and far exceeds the age of our civilizations. Their bodies appeared sculpted by evolution for survival in extreme cold. Shorter limbs reduced heat loss. Broad ribcages housed powerful lungs. Compact frames conserved energy. They were, in many ways, biological adaptations to ice. But their physical presence was more than adaptation, it was power. Analysis of their skeletal structure reveals dense bones and muscle attachments indicating immense strength. A Neanderthal hunter could approach large prey at close range, thrust heavy spears, and haul carcasses across snow-covered terrain. In a world where survival depended on direct confrontation with nature, they were formidable inhabitants of the Ice Age. Yet Neanderthals were far more than resilient hunters navigating frozen landscapes. Archaeological evidence has gradually revealed a species capable of innovation, creativity, and social connection. Researchers discovered that Neanderthals produced complex adhesives used to assemble tools, a process requiring heating materials in oxygen-limited conditions within narrow temperature ranges. This level of control implies planning, experimentation, and shared knowledge. Their world also contained symbols. Cave walls in parts of Europe preserve markings and pigments dated to periods before Homo sapiens arrived, suggesting Neanderthal authorship. Personal ornaments made from shells and raptor claws have been uncovered. Objects that offered no practical survival advantage but conveyed meaning, identity, or expression. Perhaps most moving are discoveries related to death. In a cave in what is now Iraq, a Neanderthal skeleton was found surrounded by pollen deposits, implying flowers were deliberately placed beside the body. In a world dominated by survival pressures, such an act hints at grief, memory, and emotional bonds. These were not creatures merely reacting to their environment, they were beings experiencing it. So if Neanderthals were physically capable, technically skilled, and emotionally complex, why did they disappear? For much of the 20th century, the prevailing narrative suggested that Homo sapiens replaced them through competition or conflict. But the archaeological record does not reveal widespread battlefields or signs of systematic extermination. Instead, genetic research has uncovered a more nuanced story, one of encounter rather than conquest. As Homo sapiens expanded into Eurasia, they did not simply pass Neanderthals by. They met them, they shared landscapes, resources, and eventually, genes. Modern genomic studies show that nearly all humans outside sub-Saharan Africa carry Neanderthal DNA, tracing back to interactions that occurred tens of thousands of years ago. These encounters may have unfolded repeatedly across generations, blurring boundaries between species. Yet this blending also carried consequences. Some Neanderthal genes were less compatible within Homo sapiens biology, and hybrid populations may have faced reproductive challenges. Meanwhile, the Ice Age climate oscillated dramatically, altering ecosystems and prey availability. Neanderthals, whose bodies demanded high caloric intake and whose social groups were relatively small, may have struggled to withstand prolonged environmental instability. Homo sapiens, with broader social networks, flexible diets, and capacity for long-distance exchange, possessed advantages in resilience. Over thousands of years, demographic pressures, ecological change, and genetic absorption gradually reduced Neanderthal populations until their distinct identity faded. And yet, their story did not conclude with disappearance. Instead, it transformed into continuity. Today, scientists continue to uncover ways in which Neanderthal genes shape modern humans in subtle but measurable ways. Certain inherited variants strengthened immune responses, helping early Homo sapiens confront unfamiliar pathogens encountered beyond Africa. Other variants influence skin biology, metabolism, and physiological responses to climate. Some research suggests links between Neanderthal DNA and patterns of sleep, sensitivity to pain, or mood fluctuations in seasonal environments. These influences are neither dominant nor universal, but they illustrate a profound truth. Extinction does not always mean erasure. Sometimes it means integration. The Neanderthals did not simply vanish into the past. Portions of their biology became interwoven with ours, carried forward through generations without memory yet not without impact. So the next time you look into a mirror, consider the depth of the story reflected back at you. The face you see is not solely the product of recent history, but the outcome of encounters that occurred in distant, frozen worlds. Within your cells exists a connection to individuals who walked across snowbound plains, crafted ornaments beneath dim cave light, and gathered flowers for companions who would never rise again. They endured winters longer than any we have known, navigated landscapes untouched by cities, and lived lives whose details are mostly lost yet whose echoes remain within us. They have been silent for 30,000 years. But silence is not absence. Their bones returned to earth. Their camps vanished beneath soil and stone. Yet their genetic signatures continue to circulate within human populations. Even now, as you listen to this story and form thoughts about it, some of the biological foundations enabling that cognition may trace back to those ancient humans. When you gaze into your own eyes, you are not seeing only yourself. You are witnessing the continuation of a lineage shaped not by a single species, but by encounters between many. The Neanderthals did not disappear. They changed form, and through you, in ways both visible and invisible, they are still here.